in to hear about the red cow. Okay? So, in the Torah, as we know, we have a mitzvah in Sefer Bamidbar, a commandment of God. Nobody understands the deeper understanding. Even Shlomo Melech can fathom, but it's a chok, it's a law from God that you need to take the ashes of a red cow. What do we need the ashes of the red cow for? To purify ourselves so that we can do the service in the Beit Mikdash, so the Kohanim can get out of their tum'ah and serve God. Now, we haven't had a red cow since the time of the second Beit Mikdash. Okay? We had a couple in the second Beit Mikdash. There are rumors of some that have emerged throughout the generations, but basically, Am Yisrael hasn't had a Beit Mikdash, and we haven't had a red cow, and so we're all considered tamei met. We're all considered impure. Okay? But something fascinating has happened in recent years. So a couple of years ago, there was a rancher. And when he was 14 years old, this Christian guy who lives in Texas, he felt very deeply inside himself, because he read the Bible, that he wants to serve the Jewish people. He didn't know how, but he wanted to help the Jewish people because he read the Bible and he read about the Jews and the Israelites, and he just wanted to do something. Okay? 30 years later, right before he got married, he told his wife, I'm going to help the Jewish people. I had this vision. And his wife, he thought she was going to look at him like he was crazy. His wife said, yeah, you're going to do that. But he didn't know how. He didn't even know any Jews. He just wanted to help the Jewish people. A few years later, a rabbi calls him up and says, look, we're looking for a red cow. We want to start getting the temple ready to be built. Okay? So we heard that you have connections with the ranchers around here. So with all the cows. So he says, yes, I want to help the Jewish people. So what they did is they sent a text message to all of the cow experts, and he sent emails, and he put flyers to all of the local, and they said, we're looking for your pure red cow. It can't have even one little hair, or else it's not kosher, so it's pretty rare. And all of Texas and all down south are looking for this red cow. And finally, there's one guy who says, actually, I specifically I grew red cow because I also know the Bible. I read the chapter of Bamidbar, and I wanted to raise a red Angus red cow because I wanted to be connected to the Bible. And the thing is, the problem was normally when you make a cow, the rule is you have to put a blemish. You have to put a number in their ear. Right? That's the law.
United States.
Right? But it happened to be that it was Corona, and so the laws were a little lax. They weren't checking in every place. And so there was a few little cows that this guy happened to have that were still unblemished. And it happened to be that they went and they were searching for them, and they ended up finding 21 kosher red cows. So they bring the rabbis in to check it. It's a lot. It rained, so they're checking these red cows, and they picked 9 cows, and they decided they're going to fly them to Israel so that we can be ready to build the temple and show God that we're ready to serve God. So this righteous non-Jew who just wanted to serve the Jewish people ended up being the conduit, ended up helping us bring the red cow. And he brought it here to ancient Shiloh. It's a long, crazy story. They had to convince the airport and get the exact right temperature and allow it's their pet. That way they could get it onto the flight, and they had to wait until the weather was right. It was a long, crazy story. But this man, his vision of helping the Jewish people came true, and he was able to bring the red cow that we're about to see to Shiloh, the site where the Mishkan once stood, where they used to serve God through the service of the red cow. One last vignette, something that's really interesting. In the Gemara in Kedushin, it recounts there was another righteous Gentile that helped Am Yisrael find the red cow. Anybody familiar with the story I'm talking about? The story goes, there's a guy named Dama. What's his name? Dama ben Natina. And he is a very righteous non-Jew, and he had materials that were needed for the breastplate. But the problem is the jewels that the Chachamim needed, the key was under his dad's little pillow. And he had kibud av. He didn't want to wake up his dad. Okay, so the rabbi says, oh, it's not enough money? We'll give you more money. They offered him 10 times the amount, 1,000 shekel. Just give us the key we needed for the breastplate. And he said, no, I just can't wake up my dad. And eventually his dad woke up. He gave him the key with joy. They got the breastplate. And he said, no, I don't want any money. I did it for God. I don't want any extra money. And so God rewarded this man. That the next year, what was born to him? A red cow. A red cow. And he got 10 times the money. And he's able to help and serve, help the Jewish people do their service. So amazing, interesting stories.
One last point that you may not know. This rancher who was raising the red cows got the money to start his ranching business. He was not a rancher, right? From his father who passed away. His father was a jeweler. Made the money with jewels. So this paraduma comes again from a Gentile, righteous Gentile who was dealing with jewels.
So we're seeing divine providence, how God's, in our generation specifically, the Rambam says that the final red cow will be brought will be the one that Mashiach brings. So we're hoping that one of these red cows that we're going to see, which we haven't had for so many thousands of years, and we're zoicha to see it here in Shiloh, we're hoping that one of these will be used to help us serve God in the Beit Mikdash. So let's go in. There's a whole awesome presentation.